What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we've got some more news on Keyforge. It's only been a couple of days since I gave you the last update on Keyforge. And the last update on Keyforge, I've been following this really closely ever since the announcement came down. I've been spending a lot more time on the Facebook group than I have been for a while. I've been talking to a whole bunch of people about it, and essentially a lot of people aren't terribly happy, and I'm not entirely sure why. You see, the thing about Keyforge is that for a while now, it's not been great, if I'm honest with you. You see, we did actually have Dark Tidings, which actually came out in February of this year. Dark Tidings is a thing. Dark Tidings actually came out, and that is absolutely brilliant and lovely and wonderful and awesome. The thing is, before that, we had Mass Mutation. And Mass Mutation, again, came out a little while ago at this stage. It actually came out, well, alright, it was a little bit weird, because it was awkward in terms of it got released in different territories at different times, so it got a little bit awkward, but essentially Mass Mutation came out around about July 2020. So we had a release in July 2020, which was a while ago, and then we had a release that came around a little bit later in February 2021, and by a little bit later I mean 7 months later, and then everything went a little bit dark. It's been 7 months. Keyforge had all of the hallmarks of a game that wasn't going to survive. And I know that sounds really horrible, and I'm sorry, but the fact of the matter is that there were very good reasons to believe that Keyforge was on the way out. Now, I teach business for a living, or at least I did, and one of the things I taught a lot about business is that you can tell how a company is doing, not necessarily by looking at public statements or any of that, but looking at the way that they operate. Makes sense. And if you looked at the way that Keyforge was being treated by Fantasy Flight Games, there were significant reasons to be worried. The releases were getting further and further apart, the communication was becoming less and less, organised play had gone away during a pandemic, and where other games had been substituting in webcam tournaments and things of that nature, Keyforge had not. There were genuine, legitimate reasons to believe that Keyforge wasn't going to last. And when we were given this information the other day, essentially what we were told was they are going on hiatus for an as of yet unnamed period of time. When they come back, they will have the Winds of Exchange starter set. Well, basically set 6. And they showed us a box of the starter set. Obviously, there'll be regular decks as well. And that an online client, an online version of the game, a digital version of the game is in development. So, before we get on to the new announcements from the in-flight report, just a couple of things for me to clarify. The game's not going anywhere. You've got to look at it from FFG's point of view. If the game is dead, it's dead. And they come out and they either go completely silent, or they come out and go, yeah, sorry mate, we're done. If they want to wrap it up nicely, they come out and go, hey, there's a new set, but then the game will be complete, which is what they did with Star Wars Destiny and other games. If they want to hedge their bets, they just give us a new set and see what's going to happen. If they're taking it seriously, they start investing in the game. And there is absolutely no counter-argument to the fact that they are investing in the game. Because, ladies and gentlemen, there is a new set coming. They told us that the algorithm was broken and they are rebuilding it from the ground up. And they are. Which is going to take time and money. Which you don't do for a game that you don't think is going to be around for a while. They told us that they are in talks for the digital client. Again, I did say this the other day, but let me make this super clear. Do not expect the online client at the relaunch. That's too soon. But the fact that they're planning an online client which isn't going to be ready for, almost certainly, I can't say this for certain, we don't know. We've not been given a time frame, but I would expect it a little bit later. because, again, they're only in talks, and that means that they are really thinking about the long-term health of the game. FFG clearly and blatantly see Keyforge as a cornerstone game for them moving forwards, or they wouldn't be treating it like they are. So stop listening to the naysayers or the people that really don't know what they're talking about, and look at how the company is acting. They have made a new set, they're rebuilding the algorithm, they are in talks to make a digital client. These are all the actions. Don't worry about what they say is irrelevant. Don't worry about naysayers, what they say is irrelevant. The fact that they are clearly investing in this game means that they are actually committed to the relaunch. This isn't we'll announce a relaunch and see how it goes. The relaunch is coming and we should be delighted. So what's actually new from what they told us? Well, there are a whole bunch of new cards and mechanics. That tells us nothing. But it also introduces the game's 11th house, the Compacts of Ecuador. We have an actual name for the house, which is awesome. This is a mercantile house founded by the asymmetrical Getrukia, which you can see one of them on the front of the box. And it's all about themes of trade and exchange. And then they do confirm the other 6 houses are the return of Brobnar and, far more importantly, Mars. And then we've got Sanctum, Saurian, Star Alliance, and Unfathomable. We knew what the houses were. We could see them on the side of the box, but it's nice to have that confirmation. Incidentally, although they haven't shown us a house symbol, we can see it's very much like all that stuff around the Ecuador that you can see on the box, the gold with the red dots in and all of that. So that's roughly what their house symbol is going to look like. And this, of course, is extremely strange, because a while ago we had Genesis, which is Fantasy Flight's RPG system. They actually released a Keyforge sourcebook. So you could play Keyforge as a tabletop RPG. And in that RPG book, they actually revealed 2 new houses, the Inspired and Skyborn. Skyborn, incidentally, we have already seen the Red Baron was an anomaly in a previous set. And the Red Baron is actually coming. At some point, we imagine. Again, the whole point of anomalies were that they were cards that would be in future sets that we got early, sometimes from future houses, like, in fact, the Red Baron. And I cannot be the only one that thinks this is weird at this stage. Since they introduced this sourcebook in Genesis, they have introduced Unfathomable that wasn't in the RPG book. And they're now introducing another new house that isn't in the RPG book, but they're not introducing the 2 houses that were in the RPG book. I cannot be the only one that thinks this is weird, ladies and gentlemen. This is extremely weird. As for how the house plays, we don't really have any idea. There are themes of trade and exchange. I really, really hope that they come back into the game proper and that those are actual full-on mechanics. That would make me extremely happy, but it is very much one of those wait-and-see scenarios as it stands at the moment. We don't know. Maybe. We don't know. I'm hoping that there will be essentially choices your opponent has to make. They have to give you amber, or you get this really powerful effect. Or you can do this thing if you give your opponent amber. I'm really hoping that amber switches between players for powerful effects. That would make me super happy. That would be the way I would go about it, just off the top of my head. I've not really sat down and thought about it. But it's one of those things we have to wait and see. Now, the other thing we saw was a single card spoiler that was shown without any real explanation. Borka-Rick, a 4-power, 0-armor creature that reads, each time a Mars card is discarded from your hand, make a token creature. Now, it's also a rebel, and the flavor text says, join me and the revolution will never die. And this leaves me with a whole bunch of questions to which we don't know. What is the deal with token creatures. Generally, in most card games, token creatures are ones you bring in from outside the game, and they're kind of weak and rubbish, but you're playing extra creatures, so of course they're going to be a bit weak and rubbish. Generally, kind of 1 power, 0 armor would be your standard token creature, but again, we don't know. That is supposition on my part. And of course, you can discard cards from your hand, so having a big handful of Mars cards, maybe if you built them up in your archive, and then being able to have, say, 10 Mars cards in hand, discard them all and play 10 token creatures, really swarm the battlefield, that could be an awful lot of fun. I'm also very intrigued by the idea of what a rebel is. Are there now 2 factions of Mars? Are the Mars creatures that are coming in Winds of Exchange different to the Mars creatures we had in the first 2 sets? So Mars are back, but it's actually a whole new faction. Are they going to play a little bit differently? Are we going to have both regular and rebel Mars creatures? I honestly don't know, but these are all extremely interesting things which could end up affecting the game moving forward. I personally am just delighted, because this is the second Keyforge video I've made in the past few days. And I get a bunch of feedback from you guys basically going, Wassy, can we have more Keyforge videos? I hear that a lot. And what I have always said to you guys, the whole way along, yes, when there's news. If there is Keyforge news to talk about, you can have more Keyforge videos. Well, this is the second lot of Keyforge news we've had recently. Hopefully, that means that there's going to be more. Now, we know that the game is going on a hiatus, so this might be the last Keyforge video we have for a little while. I don't know. But with a new set coming in an online client, I am really hoping that the game just starts building. Proper online client. It's always been an amazing game. And I have said many times that in terms of pure mechanics, I think Keyforge is the strongest card game I've ever played. Mechanically, it's amazing. It's not perfect. No card game is perfect. But in terms of play mechanics, oh my goodness, I'm in love. But the fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, we have to wait and see. I don't know, but boy howdy, am I excited to find out. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what you think about this. I want to know your predictions about Mars and Rebels and Equidon and basically anything else you want to tell us. So go nuts in the comment section, but be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassy. That's where we talk Digimon and a whole bunch of other card games. And do please consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wassy Plays.